Hi there, Ayla Wolf here with Healing Response Acupuncture and Functional Neurology. I am a doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine and a licensed acupuncturist practicing in Stillwater, Minnesota. And in this YouTube video, I want to talk about another aspect of how acupuncture can help with concussion recovery. When it comes to concussions, we have to appreciate the fact that every single person has a very unique injury. However, one of the areas of the brain that can become impacted by a brain injury is what's called the parietal lobe. And in the parietal lobe, we have a map of all the different body parts. So this is essentially the area of the brain that keeps track of how our body is moving and where our body is positioned. And that means that if that part of the brain is injured from a concussion or a brain injury, then suddenly a person can have a little bit less awareness of where their body is in space in relation to other objects in the room, for example. And that becomes a problem because as soon as somebody hits their head, the last thing they want to do is hit their head again. And what I hear very frequently from people that have had concussions is that they feel like now that they've had a concussion, they're constantly hitting their head on different things, whether it is getting in and out of a car or bending down to pick something up and then coming up at the wrong angle, hitting their head on a cupboard or a corner or a shelf, so all kinds of different scenarios. And part of what's happening there is that this map of the body in that very specific area in the brain isn't working as well as it needs to be. The other problem is that most people, when they get a brain injury, they have other injuries that come along with it. So, for example, if somebody was in a car accident, they usually also walk away with whiplash, neck injuries, possibly shoulder injuries, or other injuries like a knee injury or a foot or ankle injury. And so those injuries essentially can become a chronic pain pattern or problem if that parietal lobe is not working very well. Because the parietal lobe, in addition to having a map of all of our body parts, is also where we sense pain. And so the problem is that if the map isn't clear, clearly distinguishing the difference between, say, fingers from the wrist, from the forearm, from the elbow, from the arm, from the shoulder, and then the neck, what happens is that a pain that's experienced in one area starts to spread. And so most people, when they come in to see me, they will say things like, I had a concussion, I have neck pain, and my entire arm hurts. And they're not able to necessarily isolate or localize the area of pain. It just feels like it's all over. And one of the wonderful mechanisms of acupuncture is that it helps to remap the body in the brain. When you're performing acupuncture, you are interfacing with the person's body and their nervous system, and that information is being transmitted to the brain. And so there's a very healthy exchange that happens with the nervous system, where by doing acupuncture, you can help to remap the different body parts in the brain. And what I often hear people say as we go through therapy is that where instead of the entire neck and shoulder and arm hurting, all of a sudden they start to come in and say, okay, my pain is very isolated to right here. And as soon as somebody starts to feel that their pain has become more isolated into a smaller area, that's when I know that their brain is getting better and their integration of their maps in the brain to that body part is getting better as well. And we also have a lot of specific bedside tests that we do to assess the parietal lobe and to assess these maps. So what's really nice is that before treatments, we actually gather objective data through our neurological exam, and then we can do our treatment, and then we can repeat those tests and actually have live objective feedback on whether the nervous system and the brain are getting better. And that's really important to be able to have that objective information. So this was just a super quick video covering some aspects of chronic pain related to brain injuries. as well as that importance of having a healthy map in the brain of the body so that if you've already hit your head, you don't keep hitting it again. Please, if you have questions, feel free to reach out and contact us. Email address is info@healingresponseneuro.com. Website, www.healingresponseneuro.com. Thank you so much for listening.